weather.
I'm too old for cold weather. I can't do this anymore.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Liz,
I am just for today, apparently running the meeting, and I'm happy to do that. I think we need a secretary. Is that right? And who is
Yes.
willing to do that?
Yeah, I thought Heather, I'm not sure, okay, has anybody heard from Heather?
Last I heard she was taking a class at this time.
Yes,
but
and
that
she
was
was-
a while back.
It was supposed to be done in December and then she was gonna be back, but her email address, everything bounces back to both me and Chris now. So I haven't been able to contact her.
Well, she's a real estate agent, so you could get in touch with her.
That's the email address that I've been using.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Hmm.
strange. Okay, well, I'll keep working on figuring that out. Would anybody like to volunteer to take secretary notes?
I always like to see the men step up.
I have done it once before. I volunteered. Did not do a good job, not because I didn't try. I'm happy to try again.
Sure.
I'm,
You did do a good job.
no, Chris had to fill in all the things that I missed.
That's great.
And I missed a lot.
That's what the video is for.
Oh, well, all right.
That's what the video is for.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
I mean, I'm happy to try it again. Sure. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, Steve, would you call the roll?
absolutely. Heather Berkovitz. Not here. Chris Chang. Here. Rita Clinthorne. Not here. Steve Hurt. Here. Steve Kern. Here. David Crockett. Here. Thomas Morris. Here. Roy Townsend. Not here. Liz Wiseman.
Yes.
Judy Menk. I'm sorry, is it Menk?
Monk.
Monk, I'm sorry. Judy
No
Monk.
problem.
Murphy Harrington.
Present.
Okay, roll call done.
Okay, and now we are going to adopt the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda, changes, additions? And if not, if there's a motion and a second.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, agenda is adopted as is. Communications to the Board of Trustees. I don't know where we are in that.
I should have.
They just make a standard agenda.
We'll just
Oh,
kinda-
okay.
That's my bad.
Yeah,
I
it's
should
again,
have taken
not
that
posted on
decision, so
ignore it.
I didn't catch that.
And the same one for the next one too.
Oh, okay, so introduction and recognition, same. Okay, public comment. No, you're good?
Please. My line and no hands are raised, so.
Rocking
Okay,
and rolling.
no
All right.
public commenters. Now we are going to approve the minutes from last time. I will make the motion. I had just made one note on the minutes. My understanding was that the Lutton property was 237 acres, and that's a different number than it's in the minutes. 21 of which are arsenic contaminated. So I think it says 245 acres.
It says 245.
Yeah, so I don't know, you might want to double check that, but that's what my record shows that.
Okay, and the correct number of total acres is,
237, 21 of which are contaminated.
okay,
And other than that, I thought they looked good and I would move to approve that change.
I would say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. minutes
Sorry,
are-
Liz, can I just,
Yes.
one quick thing, minutes for January approved with,
As amended.
oh, as amended, okay, as amended, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, very good. Now, reports. Parks would be Murphy.
alrighty, as you all know, January was pretty much a wash for me in terms of getting things done. So, the last couple weeks I've been focusing on preparing for the spring, mostly, getting in contact with some of the organizations that are now our partners, which you can see on that board. And, what am I trying to say? Preparing volunteers to take on some of these roles, volunteering to do butterfly, vernal pools, nest box and bat monitoring throughout the preserves. We're also working on creating a more comprehensive onboarding orientation for the new seasonal staff, which at the upcoming board meeting, those positions will be officially approved or not, depending on the board action, but at the last meeting, all 4 of the proposed positions were approved. So if everything goes according to plan, we'll have 4 seasonal staff. We have the volunteer mixer tonight, so if you can attend, that'd be really awesome. And we'll have some refreshments. I would talk to the public, but you're here, so thank you, but you already know, and there's nobody online, so that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Murphy.
Oh,
Late-
yes, actually, can I do one more thing? Thank you for reminding me. So with the geothermal coming back at a higher estimate than higher quote than what they were estimating, there's kind of a pause on finishing the bathroom.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Don't want to
And-
interrupt.
And do you want to explain?
Sure, it has nothing to do with that the bathrooms wouldn't be completed, but the south bathroom that we proposed for the building permit, that's where they wanted to put like the maintenance room in there. So we're still going back and forth to figure out which alternatives we would use for the HVAC, whether we're gonna use geothermal or not. I'm hopefully scheduling it for the upcoming board trustee meeting. I'll have more information on Tuesday night and which direction to go. But either way, if in fact we decide to go geothermal and we go into the south bathroom, we'll just revise the plans and go into the north bathroom and have to resubmit those. So we are being delayed a little bit, but one of them is going to be completed. We just don't know which one.
Okay, just so that I'm absolutely clear, in other words, there still will be a bathroom
Yes.
for the park. And it will not be canceled or delayed, or it might be delayed, but it is allocated as a bathroom for the park. That's not gonna change.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's okay, good. Okay,
Good deal, thank you. Planning. Is there a report from planning?
I don't know.
Bob, wanna-
Do you have anything from planning?
Bob, you're not going prepared. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Land preservation, I just had a couple of things. We are, this is actually Judy's idea, or I think Janine and Judy both. But we are working on getting quarterly articles in the township newsletter. And they will feature a preserved property and an interview with the property owner that, you know, emphasizes why they did it and how they feel about it now and that sort of thing. So we're working on getting that started. We have some questions, some members of our group have submitted questions to me and we're working on getting those up and running so that we can get, I hope, Mr. Vanderhagen's interview started.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'd be excited to do it.
so I'll get those to you soon.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I hope, yes, they're in Lisa's mailbox right now.
Okay.
Okay, we are monitoring, so much of what we do depends on federal grants. You know, they are one of our funding partners, so we are just keeping tabs on federal grant funding and how that may change. We're just gonna do a month to month, kind of keeping our eye on it. Right now, we are proceeding as if things are going to be the same. They may not be, so we're just keeping our eyes open. And I'll also say, Barry Lonick, our consultant, recently closed his 100th conservation project, and he has now shepherded through conservation of over 10,000 acres in the
Wow.
townships that he.
That's great.
So we're proud of that.
yeah,
Very
nice going.
So that's our report, and then we have, is there another report? Roads. Is there a roads report at DDA?
No, I know as part of the budget discussions, they've been talking about park and then the pathway along Park. But it's all part and buried in the budget discussions.
Is that roads? Or is that DDA?
That roads.
Want to speak to DDA as well?
I don't think DDA has any updates right now. Because they're going to be naming additional or new reps this coming week.
All right, good deal. Oh, good. All right.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks, Judy. And the Board of Trustees, which is you again.
A couple of things on Board of Trustees. At the last meeting, we authorized the grant that Chris and Murphy brought forward. It was going to be a grant that you can actually reference, but we authorized that they could pursue the grant. On February 25th, Many Hands is going to be coming forward to the Board of Trustees. So this, Mrs. Carey has weighed in at planning a number of times. She's been here, she's been, was she at LPC? She may have been LPC.
She has been before. It's
Okay.
been a while.
Okay, well, it is now finally making its way to the Board of Trustees on February 25th, and it impacts quite a number of our committees and commissions. So that's coming in on the 25th. The capital improvement plan for the tree fund was approved, and Murphy is overseeing that. And general budget has been a big part of what Murphy and Chris have been working on. The general budget will be coming for adoption on March 11th. And I think we'll have a public hearing on the 25th, but it'll come before us. So there's plenty of time still to weigh in. If you still feel you want to weigh in on the budget, it came in through the department heads, but it will now also have an opportunity for public input, both public hearing and then when we come in for final approval on March 11th. The Director of Operations, you may have heard word about a Director of Operations position. It is, I don't want to call it a replacement position for the manager, but instead of having a manager in our hierarchy or in our staff direction, we've designed a position called Director of Operations. It was just approved and I believe it's posted already. So it is a position called Director of Operations, and it would be instead of what we used to have as a manager. I mention it here because the Parks Department will report to the Director of Operations. So that's the linkage here. And my last item is the perpetual care for the Hopkins Cemetery. That was also approved at the last Board of Trustees meeting. And it says in the document, and I hope this is true, that Parks was consulted and is engaged in that effort. Okay, so perpetual care for the Hopkins Cemetery has also been approved and falls under the umbrella of Parks. I think
It
that's
doesn't
it.
come out of Parks budget.
No,
Fine.
not a Parks budget, but it's under your stewardship.
Yes.
Stewardship meaning we what, maintain the grounds or something? Or-
Yes,
Oh,
but very minimally,
Mhm.
it's staying as is for the most part.
Okay.
My goal is to do invasive species removal in there.
sure,
But you know, we're not converting it to lawn,
yeah,
you know, keeping it natural.
Okay.
So it'll still function as a natural space, natural areas, but it'll also have that
Okay.
historical designation.
and I'm a little out of the loop on when you started off your report, you were talking about a grant for something, and then you went into the many hands. Somehow do those two things
The
tie together?
grant has been authorized. Chris, we gave them authorization to pursue a grant. That's the way it works. So Chris and Murphy can tell you what that grant
Oh, okay,
is
but it
for.
doesn't have anything to do with many hands?
Does not have
Oh,
anything to
okay,
do with Many Hands.
that, okay,
Many Hands is that property
Yes.
that's coming in. Yeah, but they
And-
can give you,
fine,
the
Sure.
Board of Trustees role is only to give them authorization
sure.
to pursue. Mhm.
The idea of, about many hands though, that applies to parks in some,
Because part of their development
Mhm.
is to have connecting pathways in there. So if you see their design,
yeah,
they're promoting sustainability, they're promoting agriculture, and they're promoting connection to other pathways.
is that the one we were looking at with Barry Lonick, and it was a path either on the west or the east? Oh, I think I
This is
got
on
that.
Baker Road across from the Scio.
Right, And there was an old barn that we could have a path go by and connect with some other land. We were looking back and forth on a map. This was with Barry like 3-4 meetings ago. That's not the,
It was at the last meeting.
I wasn't here.
Very Kafofsky.
Okay, I wasn't here for the last
She
meeting.
was here and she's the manager of Many Hands, the
Okay.
opponent of Many Hands. And she showed the map of what internal trails they'll have
Mhm.
and how their development could possibly lead to connections for some of our trails.
Okay, but it's across the road
on
from
the-
Sloan.
From Sloan.
Yes,
Side
Yeah.
of
right.
Baker.
So, and so there's, I still believe there's some kind of tie-in with that thing we were talking to Barry about a few meetings ago, but okay.
Yeah, I
so
don't
now-
remember what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. No,
Yeah.
I don't, but
Oh,
but
oh.
I'm not doubting it, I just don't.
Okay, okay.
Can sometimes get confusing is that it's a Lutton property
Mm-hmm,
and
yes, right.
that's where the confusion
Yeah,
can happen. Is
yeah.
that the Lutton property,
You may be talking about the parcel that's in the middle of the Sloan Preserve.
Well, no, it's still across the street, but I'm sorry, I don't wanna
But
go
that's
down
it.
that rabbit hole. I just wanted to see if that was the
Yes,
connection that I
it's-
could make.
that's
Yeah.
where it gets kind of connected.
Yeah, okay.
but,
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I have a question too, Jean.
Yes.
Is the job description of the Director of Operations the same as the city manager?
No,
Oh,
we
it's not.
spent about 4 meetings
Oh, okay.
crafting / recrafting.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay, so it's a
but-
whole new position, really.
Yes, that's what we really wanted it to be as. That's why I was careful about using, it's not a replacement, but I think for the public, it will appear as it's a replacement to the manager because we won't be having a manager. We've opted to go with this director of operations.
Okay.
One of the reasons is, under the advice of our human resources, is that it's a better title for what we're expecting of the person. And so the advice was name it more with what the expectations are as opposed to manager.
That makes sense.
That's because this person is not managing the township government as a whole, but managing the operations. of the township.
Correct. And they found that it can be in municipal government, that manager role can be misunderstood
Sounds like supervisor
for a town, for a township. And so their advice
or
was.
city manager.
Mhm.
Sounds like that.
I just had one other question. So the Many Hands people, do they own that property that they're coming?
Not at this point,
They don't own it yet.
no.
They have it under contract is what I.
Yes.
concluded.
They have it under contract? I have not heard about it.
Well,
It's contingency.
Yeah, I don't think it's under contract.
If you read, let's see, the document that she has submitted for our meeting, the 25th meeting, that's where, I don't want to take out different words. Her words are, it is, if it gets approved, it's kind of tied to it.
So they can, the board has to approve it in order for her to buy it?
Well, I don't know what is the official language with Mr. Luck.
that's
Is it
typical.
unusual for the board to approve something for a property that the person doesn't own yet?
It's not unusual. I can speak generally.
Yeah, I think it probably has
It's,
contingencies with their.
this is how, I mean, I can't speak to how Scio Township does.
Me
it.
either.
I can speak to how these are done in the world of law. and
Okay,
This is typical,
that,
that someone wants to build, I mean, I'm involved with, someone wants to build a preschool. And so they have an option, they have a contract to buy the property, but it says if the municipality nixes our preschool, then this goes away.
But she doesn't have a contract yet.
I believe she does.
I-
was told she said
Okay.
she did.
and
I have
I would be
not seen
surprised.
any sort of
I
contract.
don't,
That strikes me as pretty unusual, just to put that out there. Anyway.
Well,
Okay,
it could
that
be a
was my other
contingency contract, yeah, and I don't know what the practice is. Mhm.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Yeah, I guess I sort of missed the other half of my question as I was trying to figure out Barry Lonick and all that. So the idea of when land is either purchased or used or then built upon, and we as a township then try and ask or insist upon a public benefit for the opportunity to build on that property. Are we engaged with many hands to say, okay, then if it's approved and you build it, then our public benefit is X. Do we have an X? Do we know what that is? Did we ask for it? Did we insist
I
on
mean,
one?
that would be planning, wouldn't it?
I don't know, because we've talked about public benefit here before with pathways and sidewalks and things like that. So I figured I would ask about that. And if it's out of our purview,
It's a good
then it is,
question.
but I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I'm
think-
curious.
Yeah, good question.
Well, I'm going to have to defer also.
Okay.
Because when we got the one from Lithia, Murphy, do you know where in the process that happened? When Lithia agreed to their public benefit? I think we have to get back to you,
Okay.
because that's a really good question.
All right, yeah, thanks.
And
Okay.
the area of public benefits, and if Jan was here, she would probably be able to
Okay.
answer that really well,
I can-
unless, do you,
I can say with what happened in the planning commission, other than it being recommended rejection, was that they offered a parking lot and a trailhead on their property so that it wouldn't, you could access, public could come in and park outside of the gated area where the residents would be able to go past, but the public would come and park in the parking lot. There'd be a trailhead right there that would go around the property and into the property and possibly connect up to other properties that the township has, like the Sloan Preserve, if somehow you could get across the road. I mean, it was a, anything we wanted to do to connect up to it would be up to us, meaning Scio. So that was one of the benefits. They also offered their community as being unique and would be a benefit to the larger community to have it exist. So I mean, they used their reasoning for what they thought was the public benefits. But I think the new policy is that after approval, once something has been approved by the Board of Trustees, then I thought it was members of the Board of Trustees and the legal team, the township lawyers, would sit down and decide what the public benefits would have to be. Isn't it right, Judy, that it's after approval, they will be finalized. They'll offer them and there'll be comments that the Board of Trustees makes, but I don't think it's final.
yeah, I can't be sure of that, but it sort of makes sense because they actually have to come before the Board of Trustees initially, and then for final site approval. But for info also, Many Hands was not recommended for approval
Right.
by planning. So it's coming to us, but it's coming to us as not recommended.
With specifics that were stated, what we didn't see was, reasons to not approve it. And if they can correct that, which they claim to have done, at least on some of them, then the board obviously can take that into account.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So I guess then how would we keep this idea present among us in our next meeting? Should we add it to as a question for next month's meeting, just to say,
Only
hey?
to the board, so I
Oh.
would think it would be with the board, right?
Yeah, because it's a very public property and a very, people are very passionate about it. It won't be going away.
Okay.
So,
Well put.
you will know, and I can follow up on it, but also there'll be documentation on it.
Okay.
Because it's very emotional,
Sure.
the property, and it's a very big piece of property.
Mhm.
And so there will be a lot of follow-up on it.
And there are lots of moving parts to this whole.
I can imagine, right?
Yes.
And so in part, that's kind of why I wondered if it made sense to make it a line item as a question, so it didn't get lost in the bigger parts moving over it. That's
It
all.
doesn't really have that much to do with parks now, I
Right.
would say. I think, maybe once what, the board and planning. or
And the second site plan even. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's-
if there are some modifications and there's a commitment to connect, it may involve parks at that point, but right now there's not.
Right, it's probably not one you wanna have to every month
Yeah,
report on, because it's a multi-phase, it's a 5-phase property
Sure.
development, which is many years.
Uh-huh.
it
So,
has been already.
Yeah.
So it has been
Yeah.
probably 4 years already.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah,
I have a general question.
Mhm.
Are cemeteries under our purview? Or are they going to be?
Historical preservation is probably something that's going to become more parks related with a cap on how much time that we will be devoting to each site. Right now, there's only the one. So,
There are there's at least one more ancient cemetery in
yes,
Scio
right.
on here, the one on Huron River Drive. I'm not
Right.
sure the name is Scio Cemetery, I guess. I mean,
Right.
it's by the old town, the original settlement in Scio.
Mm. I guess I would just say I don't know for sure what it's gonna look like, but
I'm asking this in a neutral way. I
Yeah.
think it's interesting, but I'm not advocating we necessarily are or.
and I'm not advocating for it either, because, you know, we only have so much time, we only have so much person power. So right now, we're at the perfect balance between Parks isn't paying for it, and we're gonna be doing minimal work out there. Just to keep it, they had a volunteer work day where they took care of a lot of the initial maintenance on it. And my goal is today too, so I have some posters about the Popkin Cemetery.
Is it over on Platte Road? Is that where?
I think so,
yeah.
yeah. My goal is just to have that be completely devoted to by volunteers.
Get some volunteers to go
Yeah.
out there and pull weeds or whatever.
Exactly.
And well, there is the Scio Cemetery. I went out and visited. I found it interesting. I found a gravestone. And I think there would be people interested in.
I think so,
doing Some
too.
sort of maintenance so that it doesn't become completely lost.
Right. And it's a cool spot, like it's small, but it's neat, it's pretty.
It's a visiting cemetery. It's a form of recreation, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
It's a pastime or it's a thing
Yeah.
to do.
It's true. Any other questions on committee reports? Let's go on to unfinished business and the Van Curler burn break update.
would you like me to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Fill in.
Okay, so in general, we're moving in the right direction in terms of getting the burn break. Well, the burn break around the prairie is completed, as far as I understand. But right now Bria is working on widening the trail from the parking lot to the prairie so that Dave's Argo can make it through there. And she was out yesterday. She's been out a couple of times to clear, and she'll be gone for about 2 weeks, starting this Friday.
Tomorrow, I think
Tomorrow?
Thursday, I think she.
So I think some of that will fall on whoever's available. Probably Chris and I will go out and continue working on getting the pathway widened. But we're good. I think we'll be done in plenty of time for Dave's initial burn. I doubt we'll be burning by the end of February, considering how much snow we have.
Yeah.
So I guess you could speak to that.
Yeah, Dave has crew set up, but we don't have a date yet. We gotta wait for the snow to melt.
Okay.
and
All right,
things to
cool.
get- Yeah, it's a good try, but he has reached out to the crew, so we're getting ready.
All right. Yay, very exciting. So that's where we are.
Are you planning on having any other event sort of thing? Like we were?
I don't think
like-
so.
Okay,
I think it can be managed. The whole trail didn't need to be widened. It was just a really pretty specific area that was overgrown with the honeysuckle. So it's pretty easy. We're just, we're not being precious about it, just
Yeah.
cutting it all and
Yeah.
widening it. So it's not too time consuming.
Vanderhagen Woods history.
So in the packet, if you had a chance to look at it, we put in the Vanderhagen Woods history that Gary provided. And I wanted a chance for everyone to give me their assessment of what he had provided. It's pretty brief. And it doesn't touch too much on his family's time of owning it. I think they did a lot of work to find all this information. But I'm just curious what everybody else's thoughts were.
Sorry, you said there was a packet. All I got was this on my email. I didn't get a packet
Oh.
that I printed. This is all I was able to print.
Oh,
There-
Unless, did I miss
Wasn't a
it?
link? Or
I
was it-
saw,
It's either- okay.
I followed the link and found it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that must,
It's a-
okay.
It's a paragraph.
I will.
My bad.
I'll
No,
paste that
then I
over.
missed it.
Is it short enough for you to read it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I will read it. I'm not very good at reading out loud. Do you think?
You were a paid spokesman. No.
There you go. Vanderhagen Woods. The recorded local history of the property dates back to October 15th, 1830, when Paul Mumford of Washington County, Rhode Island, settled the land. With Paul Mumford's death in 1840, the land was purchased by Charles Gregory and his new wife, who farmed the land until 1874. The land was then acquired by the William Buss family along with some surrounding property and farmed until 1934. The Busses were part of a large German family associated with St. Andrew's Church in Dexter. Subsequently, a number of families owned this and the surrounding property, including William and May Moore, Frank and Gertrude Mercer, Bert Foster, Robert Holliday, and Phil Jenkins, and was purchased by Gary and Linda Vanderhagen in 1976. For 40 years, the Vanderhagen family enjoyed hiking the woods, occasionally planting trees and enjoying nature, as we hope you will also. This was researched by Nancy Van Blaricum, Dexter Area Historical Society.
Excellent.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice synopsis.
So Murphy, did you have ideas of what you'd like to add to that?
I love it, but it lacks a little bit of depth into the actual history of what happened on the site. You know, it's more like names and who it was passed around to. But I'm not sure if it's realistic, but I was hoping to just see more about what, even if just the Vanderhagen family, just knowing more about what they did or how the land itself
What
changed.
was farmed would be.
Yeah, what kind of farm?
Yeah.
Sure.
Livestock, crops.
Or was it
what
an
they were
apple farm?
And
or
when
what?
did it become reforested? Because it's such a great spot now.
Hmm.
And how, was that just natural at that time?
I wonder if the person who did that might have an opportunity to look more into it, since
Okay.
she's already,
I can.
kind of dived into it.
So
So-
from 1976 on, when they bought it, if there just could be more filled out a bit,
That or I'd be,
memories?
I'm just curious about what happened between when it was farmed and when it was the woods that his family was walking in. I'm
Because
just
they
curious
planted
how.
trees too, they said.
Yeah, how long has
Yeah.
it been since it was last plowed or tilled or whatever the term is?
So I think that there are resources at the University of Michigan about a lot of the old German families around here. I'm not sure how to access them.
Well, Nancy Van Blaricum would be a good person to ask. She's active in the,
Okay,
in the
I-
Dexter Historical Society.
Okay. But there's so much history from
Absolutely.
the early days of when the German family settled here. So, I mean.
Well, St. Andrew's Church, there's a mention of St. Andrew's Church. St. Andrew's Church originally was like something Kirche. It was a German name. I can't remember what it was, but it was the German church.
I thought it was cool that they even had that information.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like the old.
Yeah.
names. That's
Yeah.
cool.
The St. Andrew's Church, the old St. Andrew's Church is now the home of the Dexter Historical Society. They donated their
Oh.
old building to the Dexter Historical Society. So the St. Andrew's Church, in fact, in a way, planted the seed for the Dexter Historical Society
Gotcha.
by donating the building. And they built they have a new building. It was built maybe in the 50s or 60s. That's a new church. The old church is the museum in Dexter,
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
up on the
That's
hill.
cool.
Is that right up, going up Main Street?
Yeah.
Out of
so
town, it's on the
St.
left-hand side?
Andrew's is on Main Street.
Yeah.
And the old church is a block in on Inverness.
Okay,
I think it's Inverness.
okay, gotcha.
Can I ask one question about this document? So once this document is finished, what happens to it?
So we're going to make it look nicer and it'll become like a permanent part of the kiosk that's out there.
Is it gonna be printed up on the
Yeah,
kiosk?
because then we'll also have the sign for the Vanderhagen Woods over there. And that's how we
So will it
determine.
be like a sign like Chris has had made for the entrance of the Sloan Preserve and all that? You mean like a wooden sign or is it a
Yeah,
metal sign?
I'm envisioning it as like a wooden sign where it's kind of, etched out
Mhm.
and then finished.
So they're not too many words, because
Right, no, so it'll just say the Vanderhagen Woods, it'll be the sign that sits like, kind of basically where Dino Drive ends, so where the trail begins. And then the history portion will be just on the kiosk itself. Printed out on a piece of paper, probably.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if it would be like etched in something so it's
Love to,
permanent.
but
That's gotta
I,
be expensive, I would think.
yeah,
If there were a longer version, it might be possible to have the longer version, say, on the website, and then maybe a shorter version there, and you could say, for more information, go to the Scio website.
yeah,
Mhm.
Possibly.
yeah.
So since this is just one small part of a larger group of properties, could this be maybe a tip of the iceberg as to researching history for all of the Scio preserves?
I think that'd be really cool.
Could have a link to the Dexter Historical Society. They've got a lot of information. That's what they do.
Actually, that reminds me, for the Sykert properties. So who do we buy? I get their last name is Sykert.
Second family.
Sykert family. Any of them still live in this area?
I think not. I can find out the answer, but I think that was why they wanted to sell quickly because their dad owned the property and he died and they wanted to move on.
Okay,
And that was in 2022.
thank you. Yeah, but not figuring it out. Contacting the people who we purchased the rest of West Scio Preserve from would be really cool. If we could get more history on that. Maybe even Gary would do it for us, which would be even better.
But he could maybe add a little bit of color to what we have there.
Yeah.
Because I like that. I like the history so far. It's really cool.
Mhm.
Hey, anything else on the Vanderhagen Woods? Any other?
Oh, sorry, I guess I should double check. The way I'm spelling Vanderhagen, V-A-N capital D-E-R, then Hagen, H-A-G-E-N?
It's two A's, actually. It is. This is correct.
H-A-A-G-E-N.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, almost right. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
A new business, this is, tonight, actually. Volunteer mixer. So the date is not correct. But
Yeah,
it's
good point.
here. Murphy, do you want to talk about it? And how you're gonna.
Sure. It's gonna be pretty informal. It's just come and go as you please from 7 to 9, and we'll have food for people to eat, and we'll have the table set up so people can kind of sit together. And then the way that the tables are set up right now, we have the posters and the information that can kind of follow a loop and get information on the wildlife, and then the natural areas restoration. The historical part will be here, and then that will be a description of Scio outside and what we do and why. And then there'll be the poster that already exists with the events on it, the upcoming events. And then at each one of the stations, people will have the option to sign up for like that specific, if you want to do specifically wildlife or specifically natural areas, or if you want to do history, you can sign up for each one individually or all of them. It's just I hope people show up.
7 o'clock is the correct time?
Yes.
Okay.
7 to 9.
Okay, on the back side, public comments. Good stuff. Anyone online? No?
Nobody online.
Anything else?
So,
I don't think so. Well, I guess maybe I could just say one more thing.
Should we just like talk for a while more?
Oh, no. I'm gonna beg this
45-minute
time.
meeting, what?
I know, I'm gonna beg this time.
Yeah, go ahead. talk.
Does anybody have questions about the parks budget? Anyone's had time to look at what I've proposed?
Is it on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be in the last agenda packet.
All right, I will look at it. I was not aware that it was on the website, so I will, and I will ask questions definitely if I come up with something,
Okay.
for sure.
And Murphy did a very fine job of responding to when she received a little pushback on why going from 2 stewards to 4 stewards.
Hmm.
Which were in fact authorized 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But they weren't this past year, and so Murphy responded with good information, strong information, persuasive information.
Right,
So that's what was, I'll call it tentatively moved forward, because we now have to do a public hearing and final, but she responded
was,
very well.
was the pushback from the board or somebody else, or?
A member of, a
Of the
member
board.
of the board,
Oh,
not
okay.
at the board table, but,
Oh,
um,
just privately, more or less, I see, okay.
in the building of, we've got a deficit, okay?
Mhm.
So when you take everyone's individual, but when you put them all together, there's, we don't have a balanced budget. So therefore, it was kind of round one, go back and anything you're asking for that's more than,
Sure,
see what you can do.
sure,
And so Murphy responded extremely well and with more specificity and persuasive
excellent,
to say.
yeah, great,
We need it. Mhm.
thank you, because we do need them.
Yeah.
We need them, for
We
sure,
had the 4, we used them. They worked
yes,
hard
yeah,
and they accomplished a lot.
we got Bree out of that.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, look at that. I mean, it's our farm club to the major leagues now, and we got
Yeah.
3 in the majors, and that's great. I mean, somebody who knows us from the beginning, and we can benefit
And still works with
tremendously.
us.
Yes,
Yeah, it's just-
I know, and is willing to still hang out with us, I know. But no, I mean, and it, just because of that alone, it's an important program. And anyway, no, that's great.
Part of what I proposed with those positions are, I think 20 hours of overtime every month, where in which they will, for the ones who live locally, which I think should be all of them, probably will be Ann Arbor based or in the region, so that we can start doing Saturday or Sunday volunteer work days. And then they will be in charge of those weekend work days. So
Yeah, nice.
I really can't drive down here 6 days a week. Just can't do it. So,
And you'll start interviewing pretty soon then? If it's approved on Tuesday?
yes, so there's a bit of confusion. And I'm pretty sure, as Roy explained it, we're under the impression that by getting approval at the last meeting, that we could move forward, because the salary range and the job description were all in there. But we actually have to go back on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, and officially get the posting, that the description that's going to be posted, get that approved, and then I will ideally have it posted the next day.
Okay, but on the 25th, like next week.
Yes.
It's good. Okay.
And we're gonna post it on Conservation Job Board, Texas A&M Conservation Job Board, and then the website.
Texas A&M, pretty specific, not Michigan State.
No, they go for like all the states,
Oh.
and that's been, at least from, maybe it's different now for younger people, but that's what we always use, looking for seasonal jobs
Oh,
coming
okay,
up, so.
sure.
I think, just piece that you do post it, you might put in it that it is locally funded, that it's not federal grant funded.
Oh, good point.
Because
Yes,
all
very
the
good
national-
point.
All of the
Absolutely,
national parks
right.
are nationally funded and they all go for seasonal help. And everyone tries to get in them. I'm not sure that they will this year, so it
Right.
will give you an edge that it is locally funded and it's funded.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah.
Speaking of funds, and just because you brought it up, and certainly it does affect us, what is our deficit? How much are we in the red?
Well, they had, the last one we ran did not have all of the personnel in it. And that's why we know we're going to be, because the personnel were in it, and then the COLA and about 3 things were not yet run because they were just approved at this last meeting and now we'll overlay.
So it's an assumption, but it's a sure thing, but you just don't know what the number is. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Exactly, so we don't.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
Is there something else for us?
No, I think
okay, meeting to adjourn. Motion.
Well, Norm's here, let's adjourn.
Hi, Norm. Yeah, we just finished up a really quick meeting. If there's a motion and a second. we can go.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.
Yay, Liz, excellent.
Yeah.
Good job, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.